Hello and welcome to this masterclass, which I am extraordinarily passionate to be bringing to you. It's how to become comfortable with being seen. So, my name is Jess Beard from Inner Alchemist, and I am creating a series of masterclasses which are going to be saved as a library in a brand new membership that I'm creating called the Alchemist Lab. So there is going to be incredibly useful topics and masterclasses on all the archetypes and the programs and the things that really hold us back from living our happiest, most fulfilled life, where we're also deeply connected with our passions and our callings, and also sometimes just to be simply happy and at peace within ourselves. So for those who are new to me and seeing me for the very first time, I for the first 29 years lived a very kind of normal life. And then, of course, I was getting more and more miserable with people pleasing, martyring, giving to everybody else, things were feeling wrong, unhappy, toxic inner critic. And I was never doing anything about it. I was never taking any action. I actually didn't even know that I could change things for myself. I was that unconscious. And then my Saturn return hit when I was 29, and it was like I was hit by the spirit bus or a bullet train. And the next 3 to 4 years was extreme consumption of spiritual knowledge and this journey of really identifying my programs, my blocks, my belief systems, and working on them and unraveling them and healing them. Now, I didn't really have a mentor or a teacher that specifically was helping me with that. I did it really kind of a very hard way, in an old skilled way, and bit by bit, layer by layer, like peeling an onion, which we all tend to do. Then I found Caroline Myss and her work upon archetypes, and it completely changed the game for me because I actually had a language now for what I was doing. I was able to see the archetypes, and then the more studies I did on esoterical knowledge, the more I could see programs and I could see patternings, and I had a language with like quantum languaging to really understand what I was doing in those aspects as well. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so I'm untangling that. And that is why 3 years ago I formed my business during COVID to bring my passion for archetypes and alchemy, the language of archetypes and energy, to help people. And that is, in essence, everything that I do. So this masterclass, I'm going to be looking at 3 areas and 3 issues that cause the most problems that I've identified within myself and within my clients as what causes us to become uncomfortable with being seen. How I teach is not just give you some tools and say, go on your merry way, and these really worked for me. I don't believe that truly helps people. I feel like if you really want to heal and get your own self out of your own stories and entanglements, belief systems, and woundings, what happens is you need to truly understand the source of the program itself. So when I teach big picture and why this is happening, and then I provide tools of which has helped me and my clients. So we're going to be looking today at 3 different things that I believe cause us deep angst, primordial fear, and a disturbed feeling of like being seen and being comfortable with seeing, stepping up in your leadership and stepping up in your confidence. And this all ties into what I call archetypal empowerment. And it's when you start to really know yourself. You know your archetypes, you know your patterns, your belief systems, and you go upon that journey. So the first of these three things is the witch wound, as many people have talked upon it. Many of you might have heard me teach upon it, and I could do an entire 60-minute, probably longer masterclass just on that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus in on why I believe it has got that primordial sense of causing us fear of being seen. So that's how I'm going to focus the witch wound. I call the witch wound a 3D program of the divine feminine enslavement. Now, I know that's a mouthful, but we're going to go deeper into the psyche and a psychic wound, right? So what tends to happen when people are referencing the witch wound, and for those who are completely new to this term, I'm going to briefly describe it. So during the witch burnings, where millions and millions of women and some men were systematically hunted down and eradicated for having for being different, basically. Now, from a level, like if we go into the politics of the time, and you had the church wanting to be the sole power at that time, you can't have your congregation, your church move into these different areas and then have other people in a place of authority. So you don't want, if someone gets sick, you don't want them to go and see the village witch or the wise woman or the healer or someone who just has a lot of herb lore. And instead, you want them to come to church and pray. They want you to come to you with your sins and absolve you of those sins. So it wasn't just superstition, and it wasn't just, oh, we hate women. It was a strategic attack on anyone who has power in society that is not the church. And I want you to, for a moment, just imagine what it was like to live during those times. And if you were in any way different, if you were in any way had different knowledge, seemed a little bit mystical, understood herbal lore, where the other person might be like, well, how the hell does she know that? She must be a witch. And there was judgment and this fear of like, you know something that I don't and you're different from me. People who might have been beautiful. Not only did they go, oh, she must be consorting with the devil, should be that beautiful. But then you could have also had other women who would go, oh, she's a witch, just to get rid of her. It was a time where it bred this darkness of us versus each other. They really stirred the pot. And you did not want to do anything that is going to make you be seen. You think about it, you feel about it. You would have been wanting to not stand out. You would have been wanting to just get about your business and be as quiet as a little church mouse. Ironic wording there, isn't it? So when you have something that has such a profound effect on that generation, it causes a psychic wounding in the collective. We're going to use some recent examples, which is the Holocaust for the Jewish people, and is slavery for the African Americans in America. Now, we quite commonly sit here and can have absolute compassion and understanding for the Jewish population, for what they went through, the distrust, the I was slaughtered and captured and treated like an animal, and then gassed and killed for who I am. And then the African Americans, so similar. And millions die. Now, I'm just referencing two. You can have genocide like Cambodia and other countries where millions die. The Sudan at the moment, they're all going to have collective trauma. So I've mentioned two well-known ones, and we're quite compassionate and understanding that, hey, that causes psychic distress. But because the witch burnings happened in the past, and it happened only predominantly to women, it created what I call a divine feminine wounding. It's a fear of being seen. And here's the kicker. It affects men and women because men also have half of them as feminine energy. So men, you think about where they're most uncomfortable being seen, it's with their creativity, it's where being vulnerable and actually talking about their emotions, because that's how they fear. You know, if I dare to speak up about this, I've witnessed with my own eyes some beautiful gentlemen who were actually vulnerable, and the women in their lives ripped them to pieces. How dare you, whinge about this and everything. But they were actually just expressing their own, their own vulnerability. I find it very ironic that a lot of women want an emotionally intelligent man, but then will not allow him to attempt to be emotionally intelligent. They get offended. How dare you have those thoughts and feelings and express them towards me? Whereas it's quite more normal for women to allow their rage out, to allow their emotions out, and like, hang on, you can forgive me. There's that byplay of discord in the feminine aspects of the masculine. And then women, we have to be so careful of how we look, what we say. How dare I stand up? How dare I speak my truth? I'm literally going to get burned for it. Or some stuff wrapped around me and thrown in the river, and if I sink, I'm guilty. And some of the torture that they went on. And there is another aspect here where you would have had women who were being tortured, and they're like, name your other women, name the other witches. And they're in so much pain, they just wanted to stop. They would have named other innocent women. And then those innocent women would have been tortured and killed, thinking, why did Henrietta or Josephine betray me and say all this stuff and call me a witch when I wasn't? And do you see how that sets up that way that we talk about each other? So how that's coming out in today's society is, if you get too famous, if you get too shiny or bright, in Australia it's called the tall poppy syndrome. If you get too big for your britches, if you get too tall, too shiny, too bright, we're going to cut you off at the knees instead of celebrating you. So why this is so important to discuss when it comes to, are you comfortable with being seen? It's literally because this is a primordial fear. And if you don't understand where this fear is coming from, then you're not going to understand that it's actually not even your own. And it's something that you need to just push through and be aware. So when we're talking about our 3 things that we're going to go through today, the third one, we're going to cycle back to this aspect of fear with what's happening archetypally. But I want you to truly understand that fear of being seen, as being known, or stepping up and saying, this is my belief system and I am different, is really intrinsically tied into this wounding. The other aspect is this, and this is something I really want all of us to work upon. This is something that I still catch myself doing every now and then, but I'm so much better at it now. But before, I used to just be completely bitchy. If you see somebody who is having a win, if you see somebody who's become successful, and you feel jealousy or envy building up inside of you, you have to catch yourself. You have to hold your breath, let it all out, and just be aware that it is the witch wound and it's flaring up where you're wanting to project that to somebody else. If there was a masterclass done recently by Melanie Ann Layer, and I was listening to her and it really resonated. She said, a lot of people judge rich people. Oh, the rich this, rich that, and everything, while at the same time wanting to be rich. And she said, like point blank, if you, saying my internet connection was unstable, if you want to be rich, if you want a seat at the table, you can't judge everybody at the table, because what you're doing is you're saying to your psyche, rich people are bad, rich people are, evil, rich people are this, rich people are that. And I thought to myself, it's really fascinating how we play these mind games with ourselves, where we're really wanting this thing, but at the same time we're telling it it's evil. And what's happening on an adrenal level within your body and on a subconscious, your subconscious is going, well, I'm never going to let you become rich because rich people are evil. It's the same thing if you see someone who's an influencer and their boobs might be hanging out and their bum cheeks out and everything, and you can really go into judgment of like, oh, I would never do that to make money. It's actually the witch wound flaring up, and your judge, you start to go into shadow judge. It's so vitally important that we celebrate each other. And that is actually the easiest thing, but it's a part of reprogramming your brain, right? It's the easiest thing I'm ever going to say to you to do, but at the same time, it takes time, because you'll find yourself. What you're doing when you celebrate people for success, you are subconsciously telling your brain, it's safe to be successful. It's safe to be happy. It's safe to have all this and this and this and this. If you rip people to shreds for being successful in any shape or form, you're telling your subconscious brain and your adrenal system, no, look what happens if you say these things. That means you actually must fear these things. And you set up and keep that blueprint of fear. Many people already started work upon this, but keep going with it. And don't go into that shadow judge with people. Celebrate their successes. If famous people get more famous, celebrate that. If rich people get richer, celebrate that. If somebody has like a rocket ship to success, like something, they get lucky, celebrate that. If someone wins the lottery, celebrate that. Because what you're saying to your psyche is, yeah, we'd like that too. And if you have a positive vibration around that, you're going to manifest that into your life so much easier than if you were judging it. So I hope like number one makes sense for you, where you truly understand where the primordial fear comes from, how it affects men and women, and how we're afraid of being seen. We're afraid of being creative. We're afraid of being judged. We're afraid of being talked about. We're afraid of gossip, because gossip's just not nasty. Gossip was deadly hundreds of years ago during this witch hunts. Gossip was deadly. So the more we do to heal this psychic wound in the collective, the more we can breathe, embrace our safety to be seen. So it's so important. And if you go forth and you find yourself judging people, pull yourself and go, hang on. I need to do better. I need to stop this. The second thing we're going to look at is the imposter syndrome. So this is a big one. And it is tied into feeling like you are not good enough and that there is tons of other people who could be doing things better. Now, in the archetypal system of Caroline Mises, I nearly called her Mace, which is the thing I do all the time. So it's Caroline Mice. She has the 4 survival archetypes. So the 4 survival archetypes are the child, the victim, the saboteur, and the prostitute. The prostitute is, where do I hemorrhage my time, my efforts, my mind, my beliefs, my heart for other people, for organizations, for countries, for causes, for best friends, for family? Where do I hemorrhage my power for other people? It's where we give away our moral strength. Sometimes we'll work for a company or hang around with people that we actually don't like their morals. And we end up prostituting our soul. It's intrinsically tied in with our worth and how valuable we feel we are. So the imposter syndrome is intrinsically tied in with your sense of worth, your sense of value, your sense of who you are, your sense of strength, confidence. The imposter syndrome, it flares up quite often when we go into that shadow judge. And what we're doing is we're devaluing ourselves by guessing our self-worth. We're also looking at other people and going, oh, they're better than I am. But then we kind of do nothing about it. We just kind of give up. So the imposter syndrome, it's not an actual archetype. It's a belief system. And belief systems can 1,000% be reprogrammed. When you are speaking about yourself in a certain way, then you can simply come up with a different way of speaking about yourself. And every time it flares, You re-speak a different language that's the correct one. So let me give you an example. Let's say you were wanting to start your own business. And you're like, oh, there's no way I can do it. There is so many other people doing Reiki and astrology readings and crystal healings, you know, and you've gone and you've studied those three modalities. You've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars and weeks or months or years, but you're not good enough. There's just too many people out there. Now, what you need to do is an assessment in this very moment. And you need to start asking yourself deeper questions than just give up. Because if you have already gone and studied the three things, if you've got the same educations that they do, you've done the exact same modalities, then they're not any more educated than you. So the only difference between you starting your business and them already having their businesses is they started their business. They've got the exact same foundation as you do. So the key to getting out of the imposter syndrome is pure logic, where you look at the thoughts that are bubbling up inside of you, and then you argue against it. So you have like an inner debate team where the little imposter comes up and says, I can't do this because such and such. And you're like, well, hang on. Where did that come from? Well, why do you believe that? Because you've got the exact same thing. Now, remember when I said you have to be really, really logical? If you feel like you can work upon yourself better, and you can for what I mean by that is, same analogy. Oh, I can't start my business because I actually don't understand how to do technology, and I don't understand how to market, and I don't understand how to do promo. Well, you've actually moved out of feeling like an imposter and you've moved into making an excuse. You're no longer actually feeling like an imposter. You've now got a problem that you can solve, and now it's an excuse. So if you're feeling like I'm uneducated in marketing, there is a bajillion YouTube tutorials. There's so many free challenges. There is business coaches. There is online courses about these different things. There is no such thing as an excuse if you're wanting to move forward. So the true imposter syndrome is trapped in the feelings of, oh, this person's better than me. This person is more advanced than me. Why bother? Right? That's reprogrammable. But the moment you start making excuses about specific things, you actually drop out of the imposter syndrome and just purely start making excuses. And you say to me, okay, Jess, well, how do I stop making these excuses? How do I even start to feel like I'm not an imposter? And the key here is to make your goal, your vision, and being of service more than your fears. If I allowed myself to just wallow in my imposter, I would never help anybody. And you might say to me, okay, Jess, well, how do I even know that I can help people? I've got to get my first client. Do some stuff for free. If you don't trust yourself to charge money, give yourself a limit and say, okay, I'm going to do 5 or 10 sessions for exchange of a testimonial and some feedback. because I'm actually wanting some feedback from people. Then you might say, okay, I want to do some discounted sessions because I feel really squidgy and icky about charging money for things. Right, I can do that. When I first did card readings 3 years ago, it was my first foray into online business and using archetypes. I charged $25 for a reading, and it was with the archetypes. And I booked an entire month. And I knuckled down and I learned my craft. I really just bonded with those cards so much, and because I had one reading after another. Then there's no way you can break my confidence in this thing. And then I also have all these feedback. Now, I did have some strange people in that first month when I did this. I had some people who were actually high as a kite for the reading, and it was very interesting trying to do a reading for somebody who was actually under the influence. So I learned all kinds of things, and it was fascinating and amazing. And I came out of that with confidence. And that is all that you need. Because the moment that you have a few people who believe in you and can say, oh my gosh, you really helped me with that. Your message was just what I needed to hear. What happens is you've got actual ammunition against that little voice. And you've got a passion and a goal that is tangible now. I want to provide this for more people. I want to help more people. I want to do this more. I want to help change lives. So you go back. The imposter syndrome flares its head. And you say, I want to do this. And the voice comes up and goes, oh, how could I do that? Such and such is doing it. But now you've got some people that you can help. That becomes more stronger. And you're like, okay, well, I need to go and educate this. So you need to do that actual assessment. Am I just making up excuses? If I am, can I do something about them? You might say, oh, I want to do Instagram reels. And then, I don't know how to. There is a billion YouTube clips on how to do it. My answer for a lot of people is just go and type something into YouTube around your subject, and somebody has most likely really created tutorials. And I also like to support that, because tying in with our first thing with the witch wound, these people who are creating these tutorials are just they're starting their own side hustles and their own businesses to get their own YouTube channels going. And it's just like supporting the local greengrocer. Go and support some local content creators so that they can get some ad revenue from YouTube. There is something on there for so many people. They usually can solve nearly every problem on the planet with a YouTube tutorial from somebody who's already created it. So if you want to be a better content creator, how to create fabulous Instagrams, reels, how to speak better. Say you're incredibly vulnerable giving speeches. Go and get yourself into Toastmasters, or join some kind of debate team, or put yourself out there to actually fix that. Oh, I hate my voice. Go join a choir. Go do something that's going to make you love your voice. Oh, I don't dress appropriately. Go and research what appropriate clothes you're supposed to be wearing. Oh, I need to wear makeup and it needs to look really good. Go on, do some YouTube tutorials on it. Oh, but I don't have my ears pierced because I need to have dangly earrings in order to do videos on YouTube. Go and get your ear pierced. Get some earrings. It sounds blunt, but that's the answer. Your imposter syndrome will continue to make excuses until you prove to it, well, if you have an excuse, I'm going to fix it, buddy. It's as simple as that. Because what happens is the true imposter syndrome, the true emotions of it, is only 1/10 of it. It's 10% feeling not worthy and not valuable enough, and 90% of different excuses that your psyche will bring up. Oh, I can't do it because of this. Fix it. Oh, I'm not good enough to do that. Why? Oh, because I can't speak properly. Go and learn how to speak properly. Oh, I don't know how to coach. Go and learn how to be a coach. Oh, I don't have enough modalities. Learn that last modality. That's going to be enough. I used to learn so many different modalities because I was on this drive to constantly, find something and heal myself and learn more. My mystic archetype was fully activated. But in hindsight, I called myself a bit of a certificate collector because I didn't kind of feel that I was good enough to heal these things with me. Was I able to do? So my actual imposter syndrome had me collecting way more certificates than I actually needed. It wasn't until I found the archetypal languaging with Caroline Mice that I went, oh, okay, we need to stop and we need to really just get down to the core of it, which is my patterns, my self-beliefs, the programs I'm stuck in, and what traumas do I need to release? What are my wounds? And then I start to untangle them. And some of I've already untangled, but then I got way more exquisite about it. I got very specific. And I taught and trained my brain that there is no excuses. It's just alchemy. If something comes up that's holding me back, fix it. Now, that doesn't mean that if someone rang me tomorrow and said, I want to fly you to America and I'm going to put you on the stage with Tony Robbins and Jordan Peterson and Caroline Mice. And I'd be extraordinarily excited. I'd probably almost faint. I would have a conniption. I would freak out. But you would bet your ass I'd get on that plane and I'd get on that stage with them. Because even though I might be intimidated by their level of awesomeness, I know that I've done enough work and I've helped enough people and I've got enough feedback that I have things of value that I can say and do. And this is the one thing that I have learned in my 3 years in online business and in over a decade of intense spiritual work. This is what I've learned. We all speak and operate in a bandwidth and a frequency that matches with other people. My way that I really like to speak about things is in archetypes and alchemy. And then sometimes people come and they hear and they're just like, that's exactly what's going on. That sounds like me. I need help with fixing that. And I'm speaking their language. It's an energy exchange. It's a bandwidth. Now, they might go and listen to other people speaking about archetypes and alchemy in different languaging, and it doesn't resonate because I'm speaking to them in a frequency and bandwidth that matches. Now, I've looked at different other coaching modalities and empowerment processes. And I sit there and I'm like, that's so similar to what I do. And it makes you realize that we're not all really that special. You can think you can channel through like this amazing, unique thing that's just your own, but actually you're channeling from source through the collective and filtering that through. And you might at the same time have 75,000 people receiving the same channeled information who then interpret it in their own similar ways. All of it is to help people to ascend spiritually through whatever form that they're teaching. So I could get on that stage and comfortably be beside Tony Robbins and Caroline Myth. And I know that these big juggernauts can be talking, but when I talk, there'll be people that will resonate with what I say more than the juggernauts sitting beside me, because they're in the bandwidth of which just click with me. And you need to widen your gaze so that you stop taking things so personally, as if my teachings and my things are so precious, me. And instead focus on, well, how can I help people? What do I want to help people do? Make them more important. My clients are more important than my imposter syndrome. My clients and the transformation that I want them to obtain is far more important than my insecurities. And that is the key to getting out of it. So this might be some brutal advice for some people, is basically, if you're making excuses, fix them, stop it. If you have an excuse you're coming up with, find the answer. You don't speak well, find a speech coach. Don't write content well, go study how to, do some YouTube tutorials, learn how to do it with AI. I don't really like it, but I've never used ChatGPT, but a lot of people are. There is no excuses. So the third and final thing that I wanted to talk about, how to be comfortable being seen, is actually our beautiful child archetype. So just when we were talking back with the witch wound and having that fear that bubbles up, what happens on an adrenal level and a subconscious level is we go into fight and flight, the thought of things. And our beautiful child archetype that Caroline Myers talks about, they have patterned responses in this moment. So an orphan child who fears abandonment and rejection is always going to feel things 1,000 times more in this area, because I'm uncomfortable being seen, but then I'm going to be rejected and abandoned for it. So I'm a magical child, and how I personally take my fears in this area about being comfortable being seen, it's not actually rejection and abandonment. I'm more worried about being ridiculed. What if someone attacks me and they think they're in a more, intelligent space, and I need to defend myself. And out comes my little magical child, and I want to run away and escape. The needy petulant might have that need to be seen, but if at any time they have been seen and then judged, or it's abandoned, they can go into their petulant aspect and go, well, I'm never doing that again. They don't like what I say. And will just stop, not even try again. The adult child, They don't usually have so much problems with being seen, but they do like to be right. And if they feel challenged, now when I say they like being right, all of people can go upon their journeys and they can do a lot of work on that area. And I'm not speaking about every single individual, but at their core, they do prefer to be right. So if they're challenged, they can trigger the hell out of them. The wounded child can quite often see their traumas as being so big and scary and bad that no one can really see them because no one understands their wounds, no one understands what they've been through, no one understands who they are and can really truly help them. And, I'm just going to get judged for why bother? The eternal child, quite often out of all of these, gets so traumatized because they're supposed to be that lighthouse where they are vivacious and in their joy and happy, and then people attack them for being who they are. And we have multiple child archetypes. You have one predominant one. If you're noticing a couple of things of what I've said here, they'll be tied in with other archetypes. I've with all the people that I've helped, with all the family members that I've seen, when you react from your child space, you will have a core archetypal programming, and some of the others will be mixed in with the others. And if you can learn what your predominant child archetype is that's causing the most problems and work upon it, that's the key to unraveling it. You might say, well, I'm not interested in learning my child archetype. Perfect, you don't have to. But what you need to learn is how do you react? Because how you react is going to determine what child archetype you are in the first place. And it's also going to determine your patternings and who you are. So the best thing that you can do is to choose little things in micro steps that is going to help you to learn to feel safe. Because remember, they're called survival archetypes. I call them self-esteems because I bring it into a bigger blueprint, and they're all tied in with your self-esteem system. Now, it's tied in with that witch wound energy, that primordial. I'm feeling afraid. I'm feeling, oh my God, I can't be seen. I'm like literally freezing. I can't even breathe. So you go to yourself, okay. That's my witch wound flaring. I am safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. You have to come up with micro steps to prove to your adrenal system, your subconscious, your entire body that you're safe. And it's systematic and it takes time. Now, I just want to pause for a moment and say the adult child and some people who have so I'm an Aries, so I've got this wonderfully shocking ability to throw myself in the deep end, and quite often I'll drown instead of floating and things go wrong. But I have this strange thing where I actually, it's like I'm challenged by fear. So if I'm afraid of something, I'm like, F you, I am not going to be afraid of this, and I will push myself to do this. So if you have the same personality trait where you are afraid of something and then you're horrified by being afraid of it and push yourself to do it and go and dive in the deep end, go for it. what I did when I was doing my card readings, and I just knew I had to do it, and if I didn't do anything, I was never going to get it. I actually paid for 3 months with a spiritual advertising Facebook page, and I went live once a week and did readings live. I cannot begin to tell you how petrified I was that first day. Oh, what if I suck? What if I do this? I didn't even introduce myself. I'm just started doing the readings. And then after I turned it all off, I was like, damn it, I forgot to tell them who I am, how to book in with me, anything. I was just like tunnel focus, just survive this hour. You can do it. Not many people are going to do that extreme, but if you can, I highly recommend just ripping the band-aid off. If you can't do that, then micro steps is the key. Because what you have to do is to prove to your child archetype, prove to your prostitute, your saboteur, and your victim that I am safe. So little bite-sized chunks. Now, if you are like, oh, I can't even imagine interacting online with anyone, there's too many of my friends and families looking, start up a fake Facebook account with a totally different name and go and practice your things when no one knows you. That's your first thing, easy as. If no one knows who you are, then you're not worried because it's not really you, right? So you can bypass the fear by call yourself Joe King. And Joe King decides to sign up, and she is brilliant at this, and she does a few readings, or she speaks about a topic, or she's passionate about this education and this, or how to paint with that, or how to create candles with this, or things. And your subconscious doesn't get as triggered as much because, hello, it's not you, it's somebody else. It's this Joe King person. And then after you get some good feedback, you get some, hey, let's go worst case scenario and say people ridicule you. I'm like, well, that's okay. It was Joe King that got ridiculed, not me. And then I assess, was there anything useful in what they said to me? Yes, actually, I could take that feedback on and I could do it this way. And that actually looks like that would be a better idea. And it doesn't hurt as much because it's happening to Joe King and not yourself. Now, once you're more confident, hey, this Joe King character is pretty good, then you start to do it under your own name. You don't have to put your pictures up. When I first started, I just had pretty sacred geometries. I did not have my face. Now, you see me everywhere. Don't give a hoot. So you do it in stages that your adrenal system can happen. The key to it is to not give up. There is something I say to my clients, and I say it to myself, and I say it to my family, I say it to my friends. If you have a reoccurring drama, thought, desire, goal, feeling of the destinies tapping at you, a calling, and it just doesn't go away, that's for a reason. If your desire to be seen doing this, your desire to write a book, your desire to talk, your desire to start a business, your desire to do anything, and it comes up all the time, are you seriously telling me that you're going to be 99 years of age and you're still having the exact same thought over and over and you've never done anything about it? That means that you've literally victimized yourself, suppressed your potential, suppressed your desires, prostituted your soul for decades? No, you're not. And I'll also go one step further. If you're meant to do something in this lifetime and your higher self and spirit is screaming at you to do it, they will continue to make your life miserable until you do it. They will uproot you and move you. They'll evict you. You'll lose your job. You'll have a health problem. Something will happen to make you look at your life and change. And you can fight with yourself for a decade. You can be sick for a decade and know why you're sick. But you're not going to get any better until you change the thing. And if one of the things is being seen and doing what you're supposed to be doing in this lifetime, for God's sakes, do it. And I just want to speak one last little bit to the beautiful orphan child. The orphan childs are going to find this the most excruciating of all the child archetypes. And I really mean this. I've worked with quite a few of them. They have a level of anxiety that bubbles up, which I don't see in the others. So if you're having extreme anxiety, borderline panic attacks, and all those things, remember, it's just your archetype. You can come up with alchemizing tools for this. You can do it in slower micro steps. I've gave you plenty of ideas of how to circumnavigate the fear. You just need to prove to yourself that you're safe and you can actually go forth and conquer the world. You can be on that stage with Tony Robbins and Caroline Myss and all of the famous people. You can have Eckhart Tolle hanging out with you in the coffee lounge. Deepak Chopra offers you a cup of tea. And you'll have the confidence as you go through your journey. And you get more and more confident as you go along. I would not have been able to have a cup of tea with Deepak, 3 years ago. Now I would discuss tea blends with the man. It's just a level of as you grow. It's just proving to your beautiful adrenal system that you're safe. So I hope that you've enjoyed this masterclass where we really discuss those 3 things that I think has so much issues, that causes so much fears of being seen, so much fears and doubts and all those things. If you're making excuses, stop it. Go and fix it. If you don't like how you speak, look, talk, walk, dress, you research how other people are doing it in the chosen field and go, oh, actually my dress is fine, my everything is, I've got earrings, a little bit of blippy, and I pencil my eyebrows. I didn't bother with any makeup because I don't care. Other people care. I don't. My message is more important than my looks. Simple as that. And I think that's what you need to find within yourselves is my desire to help people is more than my desire to be hidden and fearful. So go forth and conquer. Now, this is part of the Alchemist Lab, which is a new community that I have created, and I'm going to be building out a masterclass library. I've also got some beautiful guest speakers that are coming once a month. There's meditations, there's prayers for the planet. There's the coaching question and answer session each month. So there's tons of things that are in there, and it is a low cost membership. It is $9 a month US, and it is something that I'm wanting to do to build out an incredible community of people who are wanting to transform their lives. I'm also going to take this masterclass, I'm going to save it in there, and I'm going to start a 21-day challenge on taking action with being seen. So for those of you in the Alchemist Lab already, that'll go up later today, and we'll start that challenge tomorrow onwards. And this will also go and be saved in the a masterclass library. So if you would like to join me and the others already in there, this is a foundational price, the $9 a month. I don't know if or when I will be raising the price, but I'm really excited about what I'm building in there, and I think it's tons of value for what it is. It's done in Kajabi communities, so it's off social media, and you have your own private app, and it's a free app that you download from your app center, and we just chat away. I'm going to put the link in the comments below, in the description below, and if you are watching this in years to come, then just click the link and enjoy. Welcome, and I look forward to creating lots more masterclasses, lots more challenges, and providing useful feedback. That's the thing that I want more than anything, is to actually not just give you a few whimsical tools, but actually go deeply into the patterning so that you understand what you're doing. Thank you for all of your time. I have enjoyed every moment of this, and please leave comments and interactions and tell me your thoughts, or if you have any questions, just reach out on social media. Bye.